Yoshikage has fallen prey to one of the greatest weaknesses of any villain. He decides to monologue, which leads to an epic confrontation with Josuke. But Kira still has a secret plan up his sleeve, or really I should say it's in his stomach, because he is using the power of Stray Cat to take down Josuke and all of his friends, and it just might mean certain death for Okuyas. All that and more in this week's episode of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Diamond is Unbreakable. Little Ayato certainly has some big balls for taking on Kira Yoshikage himself. In fact, he had this elaborate plan in this week's episode where he actually called Josuke ahead of time, and because Kira is just so full of himself, he has decided to say his name out loud, not knowing that Josuke and Okuyas are standing right behind him, which forces him to have to use Killer Queen again, which means Bites the Dust has officially been disbanded, which means Rohan and all of the other main characters are going to be just fine. But Kira is not going to go down just like that. He has another secret ability, and I don't even know how this makes any kind of frigging sense, but he has actually taken the Stray Cat flower and shoved it into the stomach of his Killer Queen, which allows him to fire these big, explosive, invisible air bubbles. These air bubbles are so powerful they might have actually killed Okuyas in this episode, although I don't want to believe that. Whenever there is a major character death in the JoJo anime series, the narrator tends to let the viewer know about it. But it certainly does add a lot of tension to this week's confrontation, which from beginning to end honestly had me at the edge of my seat. That being said, this was an incredibly simple episode of JoJo, despite all the ridiculous shit that's actually going on in it. Really, it's just Josuke and Kira hanging out on the side of a street, causing all of this destruction, and for some odd reason, Jotaro, Koichi, and Rohan don't hear any of it going down. I'm willing to look past that, if only for the fact that Josuke is the main character of this version of JoJo, so it is poetic that he is going to be the one who's probably going to be finishing off Kira, although it is worth mentioning that the confrontation is far from over. In fact, I'd say it's only beginning. I believe we only have 1 to 2 more episodes before we get to the conclusion of this series, and I can't wait to see how it's going to go down. What I will say is, Okuyas might have been killed in this episode, which is a pretty big freaking deal. He gets blasted with the Stray Cat bomb, which basically takes out a large chunk of his side, and then he gets completely knocked out. Now, when I was watching this for the first time, my first thought is, yeah, big deal, Josuke's going to be able to heal him. The problem is, Kira might have actually transformed him to a bomb, and Ayato believes this is exactly what goes down, so he decides to jump on top of Okuyas, which causes him to explode. But this is actually a really smart move, because this means that Josuke will be able to heal both of them, which, yes, is kind of an ass pull in some senses. The fact that Josuke can use Crazy Diamond's abilities to heal someone instantaneously when they explode, I just figured they were gone at that point. There was no way to bring them back. But apparently, Crazy Diamond's healing abilities and the ability to reconstruct things is way more powerful than we could possibly anticipate. The problem is, Okuyas has so much damage that he might not actually be able to recover. They make it seem as if he pretty much is dead, and Josuke is carrying his dead body around while trying to get away from Kira and even taking on some of his attacks. I will say, I thought it was really clever how Josuke used Crazy Diamond's abilities to take a little bit of blood from his shoulder and throw it, and basically turn it into like this blade of blood. Yes, that is also the name of an attack from Inuyasha. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Diamond is Unbreakable? I knew that Kira would have a plan for the Stray Cat flower. I just didn't know that it would involve him sticking it into Killer Queen's abdomen, essentially turning him into some sort of weird, freaky version of Krang from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But even more crazy is the fact that apparently you can combine stand abilities like there's no tomorrow. This basically opens up the door for the future of the JoJo series to see more crazy combinations. The fact that Stray Cat can not only still fire its bullets, but combine them with Killer Queen's explosive attacks makes him an incredibly dangerous villain. Still, I have a feeling that if all of the characters were to gang up on Kira, they would probably just completely wail on him, especially freaking Jotaro. Just jump in there, Star Platinum the world, and boom! He's gone. However, that would just be way too easy. This is clearly Josuke's confrontation, and I can't wait to see how it's all going to go down. I'm also really surprised that Ayato was this resourceful as well. The fact that he decided to call ahead and have all of these events go down before anyone else was going to be killed. The timing could not be more perfect, and honestly, I thought it was one of the coolest parts of the episode, especially when Josuke appeared. You could just feel the seething rage and anger from him as he confronted Kira. And Kira himself continues to be, honestly, one of the greatest anime villains that I've ever seen. His motivations are not like your typical villain. Like, he doesn't have aspirations to take over the world or to be the ruler of everything. He simply just wants to live his quiet little psychotic life, and he'll do anything to stop that from coming to an end, including killing all of these kids in front of him in frickin' broad daylight. However, some cracks are starting to appear in his plan, which demonstrates his greatest weakness, which is his overconfidence. He feels that pretty much he'll be able to get out of this scot-free. He can get rid of all of the evidence. The problem is, everybody pretty much knows who he is at this point, and it's only a matter of time before Josuke joins up with his other friends so that they can take this guy down. The biggest mystery from this episode for me is Okuyas dead? Did they actually decide to kill off the character in this episode? If they did, I feel it is slightly anticlimactic, as he pretty much just got hit with one attack and he was gone. But it was one hell of an attack. I mean, literally, this whole chunk right here, just gone from a friggin' air bubble. This could have been like the Super Saiyan moment. The moment where Frieza killed Krillin and Goku becomes Super Saiyan. Where Josuke just goes insane and maybe even unlocks a brand new ability that we haven't seen from the series. I'm kind of hoping that will happen, but still, I'm interested to see what sort of twist they're going to bring for the series, as the JoJo series has taught me to expect the unexpected, and I definitely got a lot of that from this episode. That being said, this one was honestly still just kind of okay in the sense that it was very long-winded. It was just the characters in one location for about 20 minutes. But the biggest surprises and shocks from this episode came from the fact that Ayato's plan was insane when he got blown up, Okuyas was possibly killed, oh yeah, and Killer Queen has a freaking flower cat in his stomach. That's still really freaking weird to me. I don't know how that works, and I don't know if this was Kira's plan from the beginning, but I don't know how you plan ahead for something like that. Overall, though, I still think this was a very solid episode of JoJo, which has got me really pumped up for the finale, so I'm gonna drop a 4 out of 5 on this one right here. Check it out, JoJo fans. You'll definitely see something you like. If any of you did watch the episode, make sure to tell me what you liked or did not like about it in the comments section below, and what you hope to see from the finale. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe and like the video. I will see you next time, and as always, stay dandy, baby.